the numbers are kind of leveling out here, so we can go ahead and get started. I appreciate everyone's time here today joining us to the webinar, right? The Fall into Easy Microsoft License Management. And before we get too far into the webinar, I do want to say throughout the webinar, we'll talk about many different things Davenport Group is available to do, right? Our capabilities, our licensing, how we help with that and streamline that for our customers. And in each part of this, I want you to focus on this is making your life easier, right? The whole goal of setting up these practices at Davenport Group is to help our customers be more streamlined, be more efficient. So keep that in mind as we walk through this webinar. We have some great content for you here today. Before we get into that, want to introduce who you're talking to today. My name is Jackson Larson. I'm an account executive here at Davenport Group. I've been here just about 4 years between inside and outside roles. Have always been on the sales side here in the Midwest, born and raised in Minnesota. Joining me today is also Kevin Morrison. He's a cloud architect. He's also been here about 4 years. We started almost the same day. Not quite, but almost. So
about a couple weeks.
Yep. So we have two very experienced folks here. Kevin, I'll say this many times throughout the webinar, he's forgotten more about Microsoft than I will ever know. So great to have him along with us today. Before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, want to take care of a few housekeeping items. Some of you may not have access to the chat due to organizational policies. So if that's the case, feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, stop us. But if you have access to the chat, we would love to hear your feedback, your questions. I'll be monitoring it throughout the webinar to make sure we get any of those questions answered, or share your experiences, right? If you've worked with Davenport Group, our engineers like Kevin and his team, or even the account executive, just making sure that the sales process goes smoothly, we would love to hear your feedback too and share that with the customers on the webinar here today. All right, moving right along here. So short agenda for today, we'll go over a couple of Davenport Group's capabilities, how we help our customers streamline their process, make things easier for you in the IT professional's chair. We'll run through our support portal, how we help our customers get Microsoft support and make sure that issues are escalated and taken care of in an efficient manner. We can walk through the licensing audit, and we'll touch a lot on that, and how we help our customers make sure that they're in compliance, we're not overspending. Next is the MyCloud portal. This is kind of what we've advertised this webinar to be, right? The MyCloud portal is a self-service portal that we'll get into and how it streamlines your management of your licensing, but also how it makes your reporting and view of your licenses and how they're being used a lot easier. Then we have a testimonial related to the MyCloud portal, and then finally how to get started with Davenport Group capabilities, as well as the MyCloud portal and licensing through Davenport Group. This slide is new for a lot of folks, including us at Davenport Group. So this is a relatively new conversation for us. If you've joined a webinar before, you've seen the, who is Davenport Group slide with all of our capabilities. We really wanted to streamline that down into 4 main pillars, right? And for the new folks joining us, this is what we've been doing since 2001. And we've evolved this based off of what customers are asking of Davenport Group to expand our offerings. First and foremost, infrastructure. It's what I would say we're known best for, right? A lot of our customers come to us for infrastructure needs, on-prem hardware, server storage, backup, disaster recovery, domain controllers, anything under the sun that is a physical appliance is one of our bread and butter items that we are super, super good at. All the way from our pre-sale engineering team to post-sale deployment, we can handle it from the beginning to the end of that process for an infrastructure refresh or update or upgrade. Next is cybersecurity. This one is a large topic in the industry, not only because you as an IT professional have to focus on it to protect you and your business, but also for us, right? We came into this sure that we protect our customers the best way we can, because in the cybersecurity space, it's not an if, it's when. So we have equipped a full cybersecurity team here at Davenport Group that brings in the best of breed products to allow you to streamline the process, right? Make it easy for you to be in a very protected environment. Use best of breed products from 3, 4, 5 different partners, and we've set it up as an a la carte system so you can work through Davenport Group for one invoice and have the best in breed technology across vendors. Next is our managed services portfolio. How this all came about was customers that have experienced our process through engineering, pre-sales, and post-sales. They wanted more of that, right? In the post-sale space specifically. How do we get that engineering level of expertise engaged in our data center on a quarterly basis, a monthly basis? And that's really where our managed services portfolio stemmed from, was customers were asking for more of that engineering goodness from our team. So we set up managed services that are not one size fits all, right? It's very customized in, hey, I need a fractional CIO for a couple months or a year until we get back on our feet on a good roadmap. Or going into managed infrastructure. We can go anywhere from health checks quarterly, patch upgrades, full annual patch management, all the way up to a fully managed data center that takes it off your plate and puts it into ours. So that managed services piece is a very dynamic offering here at Davenport Group, and it all came from customers wanting more of our engineering services. Now, finally, what we'll talk a lot about today is the cloud applications, specifically Microsoft here today, but we have a whole lot more, right? When you think of Hyper-V, VMware, O365, Windows Data Center, Exchange, anything under the sun from a cloud applications, able to help with and really dive deep into. Now, to go further into that, into our capabilities, we'll look at this list. And I want to emphasize this is a very abbreviated list, just kind of the high-level bullet points. We could probably spend an hour on each one of these topics as a webinar format like this. The ones highlighted in red is what we'll cover today, as you saw in the agenda. But I want to turn it over to Kevin to really deep dive into what he does day to day throughout these services and how they help customers in the real world. Kevin?
Thank you, Jackson. Appreciate the introduction. Again, my name is Kevin Morrison. I am an architect here at Davenport Group. Been here for just about 4 years now alongside Jackson. And I work on the Cloud OS and Applications team, which is a team of Microsoft engineers that all we do day in, day out is Microsoft services, whether that's deploying a new Windows server on-prem, whether it's configuring and managing Active Directory, setting up Entra Hybrid or Exchange Online Hybrid into Microsoft 365, Intune endpoint management, SCCM on-prem. I know I see Perry out there. I've helped him out with SCCM a time or two. Cloud migrations. We have a bunch of cloud migrations that we've been doing with tenant migrations of a 365 tenant, many to one. That is a highly complex and detailed service that needs a lot of planning, but we've done it multiple times. And while there's a lot to keep track of, we always bring it across the finish line and leave our clients happy. So there's just a whole lot that goes into what we can do on my team. And as Jackson said, this is an extensive list, and it's actually much larger than that. But it's something that if you need something that had anything to do with a Microsoft product, we can handle it. My team is well-versed, has decades of experience in working on Microsoft on-prem, hybrid, or in the cloud with Azure. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to have everybody here today, is introduce what we can do, what our capabilities are. And then alongside of that, talk to you about what we can do from a support perspective, right? So I would say the majority of you have probably gone through the painful process of opening up a ticket with Microsoft support. It can be a bit disjointed. It can be hard to do. You might get your ticket closed on you when you're not looking. And one of the things that we offer here at Davenport Group, if you are under our CSP, or Cloud Solutions Provider Partner Program with Microsoft, is we have a portal that that you'll be able to access. And I'm going to show you here what it looks like in just about a minute. But it's going to allow you to open up tickets with issues that you might have with anything Microsoft related, whether that's on-prem, as long as you are part of our CSP and maybe even have some block hours for engagement of on-prem services, or more specifically, anything in Microsoft 365, issues with Intune, issues with Exchange Online or SharePoint Online, OneDrive, all those different products that Microsoft offers that you can be licensed for through us. We will offer some triage support that will be, I think, really beneficial to all of you and your organizations. Right now, when you open up a ticket, if you're not with another CSP, you'll find that you probably open up a ticket, go to the Microsoft 365 portal, open up a support request, and I would hate to say it, but more often than not, you'll probably get Microsoft reaching out to you in the middle of the night, doing 3 touches when you're not available, even though you said, "Hey, only contact me during these business hours." Uh, and then they just completely ignore that, and they do 3 touches and they close your ticket. I don't know if anybody wants to raise their hand in the meeting. Has anybody opened a ticket with Microsoft and had that happen to them? hmm I know I've done it. Before I worked at Davenport Group, opening up Microsoft support tickets was a chore, right? You had to be Johnny on the spot with knowing when they might email you, and it's usually at 3 a.m., maybe 2 a.m., depending on your time zone. Um, and they just close your ticket, and it's super frustrating. And one of the things we want to do is we're trying to make your lives easier, and we have a support portal that let me actually start sharing that. Move over here, right here. See if this comes through. Jackson, let me know if you can see this.
Good to go.
Cool. So this is just at davenportgroup.com/support. I'll put this in the chat for anybody to come take a look at. What this does is send a ticket into our internal support team. There you go. And you're going to fill it out with your name, your company information, email, how best to reach you, and then you're going to tell us what the problem is. That's going to come and hit our internal team, who are going to triage it. They're going to look at the actual issue, and they're going to see if it's something that can be handled relatively quickly. If it takes 15 minutes or less, they will engage somebody directly on the Cloud OS and applications team, because we're all senior engineers. And we will either engage over email with a quick fix or give you a phone call and try and help within a relatively short amount of time, as best as we can handle it, and just resolve the problem. If it's more than going to be a quick fix and it's going to need Microsoft support, our team is going to hand that off to our 24/7 support team, who will open up the Microsoft support ticket for you on your behalf, and they will intercept all of those Microsoft phone calls in the middle of the night, all of those emails that Microsoft loves to send, and get it so that they can just close a ticket because you didn't respond in time. They're going to be following the life cycle of the ticket 24/7, and they will be the ones to engage you during actual business hours. They will reach out and they'll give you a phone call or an email, schedule a working time with Microsoft support so you can actually resolve your problem. And that's just one of those really big benefits that I found for our clients is it takes the onus off their shoulders. It makes it a little easier for them to open up a ticket and know that they don't have to shoulder their burden of managing the entire ticket. Yes, we'll be involved and you'll be engaged to actually work through the technical problems, but you don't have to do the ticket management, which can be one of the most frustrating parts of opening up a ticket with Microsoft. So I'm going to, so all this really does, you just submit your information. I'm just going to, this as a test ticket to our backend team. When it goes through, it'll say, okay, thank you for contacting us. We'll be in touch with you shortly. If you have a problem and it's more critical than submitting a ticket through our website, you can give us a call at the customer support line, or you can reach out to your account executive like Jackson and say, Jackson, I'm having a really bad problem. All of my Entra ID users, all of my 365 users, they show deleted. And nobody can access Microsoft 365. Exchange won't let them log in. OneDrive is showing issues. Teams won't let them get in. Please help me as soon as you possibly can. And you call Jackson, and then he'll engage somebody on our team to just jump in as fast as we can to fix and resolve the problem for you. And again, if it becomes something greater than what we can handle, we have decades of experience working with Microsoft services on my team. There's almost nothing we can't fix unless it's something on the back end that Microsoft has to do that we just won't have access to. So a large majority of any issue you run into, my team is going to be able to help fix for you. It's just those outliers where we need to engage a Microsoft engineer to do something on the back end where we'll have to really open up that.
Really
All right,
quick,
let me.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Todd, I saw your hand up. Tony, I saw your hand up. Was that in response to the dealing with the Microsoft support tickets, or do you have a question? Not hearing anything?
No question. Yeah, it's probably just
No.
from when I was
Okay.
asking.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was from when he was asking about the question earlier. Sorry, I
Perfect.
stuck up
No
my
worries.
hand instead of the thumbs up.
No worries.
No, I mean, totally get it. I kind of wish it would take it down after maybe a timeout of like a minute or two. But I haven't really seen that.
One
All
thing I want to
right.
emphasize, Kevin,
Yeah.
and for myself, right, from the account executive side, simplifying this really, really shortly, really, really concisely. The way we've set up this support portal is if we're involved in our CSP, we can be that first line of defense of Microsoft issue escalation or fixing that problem, right? If we can't figure out, we can escalate out to Microsoft and handle that process on the back end and come to you with a resolution. So it's kind of a two-tiered approach. We're your first line of defense if you're in our CSP. And if we can't figure it out, we'll manage that with Microsoft and escalate to the right teams.
Great. Thank you, Jackson. That's a good summation of what I was kind of just driving at. I just got blabby and talked for a while. So I put in the chat, does anybody have any questions that they want to actually ask about what we just went over real quick? Or we'll circle back at the end of the webinar and have just a generalized, if anybody have any questions, we can talk about it then. And finally, if you don't feel like talking right now or even putting in the chat, but you actually want to ask us a question, feel free to reach out to Jackson, your account executive, or me. At the end, I'm going to put my email in the chat and do my best to get back to you and answer any questions you might have. Seems like we don't have any questions yet. I don't see any raised hands or anything in the chat, so I'm going to move forward. Okay, so one of the things that I do a lot is Microsoft licensing audits. And I've had a number of our account executives bring to me their clients that came from larger vendors, resellers, or just direct sellers of Microsoft licensing. And they just have a tangled mess of all these different licenses that they're paying for with Microsoft 365 or on-prem. And they haven't had a chance to really go through it and untangle everything and know if they're properly provisioned for what they are trying to do for the organization. So I frequently will go through and sit down with our customers and just kind of go through. We'll do either a screen share session or get an export of their current licensing, and I'll talk through and find if there's any duplicate licensing, and not just if a user has two of the same licenses applied. There are just overlapping feature packs that can directly effectively charge you more money than you need to. So for example, if you have a Microsoft 365 E3 license and you also have an EMS E3, which is the Enterprise Mobility and Security, if a user has both those assigned, the Microsoft 365 E3 has every feature the EMS E3 does by default bundled into it. The EMS E3 is meant for if you have an Office 365 license for a user and you wanted to augment their capabilities by giving them additional features like EMS E3 and also M365 E3 provides the ability to have conditional access policies, right? So you can have that ability to manage your security for Entra ID outside of just security defaults. There's still the per user MFA that's out there, but Microsoft continually threatens they're eventually going to take it away. They haven't yet, but I'm sure that the day of reckoning is coming when it's either security defaults with MFA on with just whatever Microsoft has set up, or pay up and get Entra ID Plan 1s or have that bundled for all your users. And I'll say frequently when I'm doing these licensing audits, there are a number of times when I found that maybe a little known fact, but I've run into it enough times that I figured I'd mention it here. If you have a single license in your Microsoft 365 Entra tenant that has an Entra ID Plan 1, that effectively enables that whole Entra ID Plan 1 for the entire tenant. and would allow you to enable conditional access policies for all your users. However, it's supposed to be licensed per user. So if Microsoft ever does an actual tenant audit of you and they find that you have, conditional access policies for hundreds of users, but only ever paid for one Entra ID Plan 1, there will be a, I don't want to say anything, but you're going to have to realign with what you're paying for. And it will be potentially not a great day when you have to come to that decision or come to that realization. So that's one of the things that I do is I sit down, I go through the licensing with our customers to make sure they're properly licensed, whether they're under licensed or over licensed, making sure that they're not running into any compliance issues, like I just mentioned. Because overconsumption, if you're paying for more than you need to, why? Don't give Microsoft any more of your money than you have to. They're constantly going to find ways to get more money out of you, but let's not just freely give them your licensing costs. So these engagements can run from a single meeting to half a year. I spent a long time with one of our clients making sure they were prepped and ready for when they were migrating away from, I think it was either SHI or CDW, because they were fed up with the lack of support and service they got from their reseller, and moved over to us. And it was several hundred licenses for just users. And then it was all their on-prem licensing. And we made sure all of their hardware was properly licensed on-prem. All of their users were properly licensed, both from an on-prem with, say, RDS user CALs or SQL CALs, all the way up into Microsoft 365 licensing. And we had a full matrix where we went through to find exactly how many licenses they needed for the organization based on feature sets. And, I'm happy to sit down and go through that with anybody. If there's something I was going to put here in chat, I don't really have this as part of the presentation, but it's something I want to mention. This is my cheat sheet website that I like to use, is m365maps.com. If you've ever been on a phone with me or been on one of my webinars I've done before, m365maps.com is a very easy to use website that's written and maintained by an Australian Microsoft engineer. I think he's a he's a project or a product manager out of Australia, and he wrote it because he himself was perplexed by the licensing and understanding what license went where and who had it. Take a look at that website. It's fantastic, and it's going to help you really understand some more of your licensing needs. There's even like a full comparison table on there of knowing what you might need or what you don't. And if you have any questions, if you want to go through one of these licensing audits, just sit down and have us take a look with you for 30 minutes, an hour. Reach out to your account executive, reach out to Jackson, and we'll be happy to get something scheduled and just to sit down with you.
Absolutely. And Kevin, you and I were discussing yesterday a lot of what comes out of these audits, right? And I think we've come down to three things. One, we find out they're over provisioned and we save them money, right? That's always good. Coming to your boss and saying, hey, we were over provisioned. Let's dial back on the licenses, save some cash. That's a gold star from the boss. Number two is, hey, we're under licensed and we're going to try to avoid anything that comes from Microsoft from a compliance audit or a tenant audit. Let's catch that before we have to, kind of be forced against the wall and say, this is what we're up against. So that's gold star, catching it before it becomes a problem. And the third is have a second set of eyes on it and say, hey, you are all good. You're under compliance. You're good to go. And you can sleep well at night. And that's just one thing that's on, kind of the back burner, saying we're good there. Let's focus on other things that need our attention. So really, really valuable here to utilize the Davenport Group Microsoft team to audit your licensing, right? Sit down with them, make sure you're in compliance with your organization, and make sure that you're looking good to your management and your leadership moving forward with the licensing conversation.
Thank you, Jackson. Very well said. Does anybody have any questions at the moment? Does anybody have a licensing question they just want to throw out there that maybe I could answer for them? I live and breathe licensing on a week-to-week basis.
Not seeing anything, but Tony did mention in the chat, he knows a few that have been in the situation where they're under provisioned. They
Yep.
get that communication from Microsoft. So it does happen. It is real. Not trying to fear monger here. It's just
Nope.
want to make sure you're protected from a business and it's not anything as a surprise.
Todd, great question. So I'll get to the second question in a second, but so transitioning them from your current reseller to us is going to be a matter of we would onboard you to our Microsoft CSP program, and then we would usually, when we've done this in the past, we try to target for a month out from when your current subscriptions are going to expire with your existing reseller. So, because we don't want you overpaying or double paying for things, because most likely you're still locked into a program or term where you can't just cancel and you'd still have to keep paying. So we try to co-term it almost where we have maybe a month overlap, and then we will assign you the licenses from our MyCloud portal, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. And that will effectively do a seamless transition, because we can talk about this a little bit more in depth. But if you've never done a license cutover, if you have a license, say for O365 E3 from one reseller and it's about to expire, and you buy an O365 E3 from another reseller and that's valid, the moment the original license expires, Microsoft just puts it right over onto the currently active license. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to reassign anything. If we do go through and adjust your licensing, then we can absolutely make sure that we get things moved over in a more manual manner, just to make sure it's done properly. But it's a very easy process, and be happy to kind of show you what that looks like on another call. GCC High licenses. I think we have some availability for GCC High, but it's not much. We generally focus on GCC Low and commercial, enterprise, charity, and those market segments. We do have some GCC High capabilities. Reach out to your account executive and we'll see if we can't match you with what you actually might need and see if we can offer that to you. Copilot be a license for the entire tenant? You're welcome. Or can it be per person? It depends on what you mean by Copilot. Copilot is now for Microsoft like a dozen different products. If you're talking about Copilot Chat, then that's the thing where you can go to copilot.cloud.microsoft.com and ask the chat agent of Copilot about anything that's in your OneDrive or SharePoint. That is, as long as you are licensed for an O365 or an M365 license, then you can be doing it per user. There's no need to have it licensed per tenant, but it only works for the user per user. If you're talking about a Copilot license, say for Teams Premium, where you want to be able to have the Copilot capabilities in that, then it's still per user. Almost every one of these Copilot licenses is per user rather than for the whole tenant. And Copilot is a whole other webinar that I've done in the past, and be happy to have another conversation with anybody that wants to have it. We can schedule another webinar or a smaller group, or just have a one-on-one conversation. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk that way more in depth. Okay, license call that is just a mailbox. That would just be Exchange Online Plan 1. SharePoint, extra file storage, and page to go, Microsoft 365 archive. What do you mean by that, Matthew? Do you mean, I mean, we offer that as part of add-on licensing that can be attached to your tenant, if that's what you mean. Any other questions before we move on? Great questions. Those are fantastic questions. You're trying to help archive SharePoint pages. Yes, we can resell you or we can provide the extra SharePoint file storage SKUs. We just buy them, add as many as you need. to meet your storage needs. One of those fun things is if you look at two different areas for SharePoint Online, the 365 admin portal will tell you, oh, you've got 25 terabytes. And then, or sorry, SharePoint Online will say you've got 25 terabytes for your whole SharePoint. And you'll think, man, that's fantastic. But then you go and you look at your 365 reports and they'll say, well, actually, you've only got 10 terabytes. The difference is the 25 terabyte from SharePoint Online is the theoretical maximum that Microsoft offers versus in the 365 admin report portal, that is what you're licensed for. Just a little tidbit. GCC to M365, insanely expensive. I guess that really depends on what part you're talking about. If you're talking about from GCC low to commercial, or high to low. Because okay, G3 and F1. You do get so you can move from O365 to M365 versions of licenses even in the GCC or F1 for frontline, and that is a not insignificant change in cost if you're moving from an O365 to an M365 version of the same licensing. But you're gaining, if you actually take advantage of all the features, you would be air quotes saving money, because if you just did it a la carte, you get so much more in the bundle than you would be if you tried to add it all together. Okay, Intune. So if you're looking at, say, if you're currently with O365 G3, you can add in just Intune Plan 1 and Entra ID Plan 1 as add-ons, and I need to see if the GCC Low has the EMS E3 or EMS G3 as an add-on, because that is something that there are definitely add-ons you can put in to your users to be able to get you where you need. Tony, if you want, love to have a separate conversation about that to really dive into that. Yeah, through M365's got all of that just packaged in. If you want to look at the M365maps.com that I linked earlier, that's going to give you a really good visual of exactly everything that's incorporated in those packages.
Awesome. Thank you all for all your questions. Keep them coming in the chat. We'll break into the action when appropriate. But go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you. Yeah, fantastic questions. Really great. So benefits of a cloud solution provider. That's us, right? Davenport Group is a Microsoft cloud solution provider. We can resell you licenses, which so can just about any other company. But one of the real big benefits of moving from, say, an EA provider, enterprise agreement, to a CSP is the flexibility. With this is a very busy slide. You can look at it. Could be some eye candy while you read through while I'm just talking a little bit about it in brief. But you get a lot of flexibility with billing and being able to change your headcount. You get a lot of adaptability with mergers and acquisitions, any seasonal changes, growth fluctuations. The real thing I feel that we can offer as Davenport Group as a cloud solution provider, especially the fact that we have a solutions partner designation for modern work, which, if you're not aware, is all of the Microsoft 365 services: Teams, Exchange Online, OneDrive, SharePoint, so on and so forth. All the big guys. Did I say Exchange? Exchange Online, for sure. Is, as earlier when we talked about the support portal, the bigger guys that are offering like volume licensing or reselling that are just part of enterprise agreement, to them, you are just a number most of the time. You'll have an account executive or a sales rep over there that you're just one more checkbox on them getting the renewal every few years versus actually getting support. Here at Davenport Group, our key driver is to make your lives easier and to provide, top tier support for your organizations. We want to make sure that if you run into problems, you feel like you can turn to us as a, trusted provider, or even advisor for meeting your goals and helping your organization succeed. That's really what we want to do, is we want to provide that value and we want to provide that support. So um, being a cloud solution provider just offers us that flexibility with our dedicated staff and the ability just to have one-on-one conversations rather than, send an email into a sales quota distribution list and then hope you get something back, versus being able to reach out to your account executive and being able just to talk to me. You're seeing me here on the webinar. I'm sure I've worked with, I have not looked at the participant list. It's very large, but I've seen some names that I recognize and I've worked with personally on many projects. So not just a name, I'm a face and I'm an engineer here to help you. And again, really trying to make your life easier. So this is the self-service licensing portal. This is why this was the little bait that we hung on the hook to try to get you guys to come to this webinar. A lot of what we've been talking about is kind of funneling into the starting point, which is if you want to be able to have licensing from us, if you want that support, if you want just all the value adds that we bring to the table for your organization, it starts with getting onboarded into our licensing portal. And one of the most fantastic things about it is it's self-servicing. We've had a number of clients who have moved their licensing over from their former license provider to us because we provide a self-service licensing portal called the MyCloud portal. And it's going to allow you to just log in with your credentials that either I think it allows Microsoft. It's got SSO with 365. You can have a bunch of different users in it as well for your organization and give them different roles of like, oh, I just want to look at the billing or I need to add more licensing. But you can just dynamically add on your own extra headcount to licenses. You can purchase different SKUs or licenses that you might need, even for some on-prem products like Windows Server 2025. And you can do it all on your own without having to send an email to a sales rep and wait 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks for it to finally get fulfilled with the back and forth. You can just do it all on your own and no need to engage with us. Now, we are happy, Jackson's going to say this later, but we are happy to help. We want to be there to make sure that you feel like you're making the best decisions, you're getting the right licensing. That's all part of the package of being here for you and making your lives easier. But sometimes you're faced with this situation. I bet some of you have run into this. On a Friday afternoon, HR comes to your desk and says, "Ooh, yeah, sorry, Kevin, I forgot to tell you we have 20 new hires starting on Monday. Can you go ahead and make sure their laptops and licensing is set up for Microsoft 365? We need to make sure they have email, Teams, OneDrive, all that good stuff. Thanks." Well, depending on who your current license reseller is or who you're getting your licensing from, yeah, go ahead and like what Jackson said, put in there. If that's ever happened to you, where you've just been given hey, I need you to get licensing immediately, but when you're dealing with another larger provider, it could take weeks, the back and the forth. Sometimes it's a few hours, sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it's weeks. Sometimes you just go silent because maybe to that sales rep, you're just not worth their time to actually fulfill the order. I would hope that's not the case, but I have heard it. Jackson is constantly available for his clients, his customers. He's always available to answer questions, help them with anything they need. Yeah, Tony, right. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We're here to make things be, easier and just enable you to fulfill your business needs, right? That's all IT's job mostly is to get out of the way of the business and let the business function. And that's what we're here to help you, is to help get all the hard parts out of your way to let you do your jobs. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you what the MyCloud portal looks like.
Kevin, while you're bringing that up, I want to just emphasize that, right? The self-service portal, with the inception of it, it wasn't meant to remove the human element of an account executive or inside account manager or an engineer for that matter, right? We want to help you through that process, especially if it's a more complex licensing structure. What we really wanted to offer here is that streamlined efficiency. And we'll hear from, I'll be saying it, but we have a customer testimonial that illustrates that really well of how this portal has helped streamline that, but still allowed him to have that relationship with Davenport Group. So the big flashing red lights here. We don't want this to remove the human element, but it's an availability there. If HR walks into your office on Monday morning and say, hey, we need to get this new hire set up, you have the ability to move swiftly and quickly.
Exactly. We are just trying to make life better for you so that you're not beholden to others without needing to just not having to deal with the weight, the headache. So this is the Davenport My Cloud portal. You can see here this is a test user called Lucas Davenport. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the story of Lucas Davenport and where we got our name, but he is our test user here for the My Cloud portal. And right off the bat, this is the dashboard. It'll show you a few offers that the portal just frequently gets. If there's a new promotion, you'll see it here along the top offers. Like if Microsoft's giving a better price for a promotional period, you'll sometimes see it come up here. Right off the bat, you'll have options for quick actions like manage my subscriptions or purchase an offer. So manage my subscriptions. Let's take a look at that. This is where you can actually manage all your licensing. So the licensing that you see here for this test user has an Exchange Online Plan 1, Office 365 E1, which I'm pretty sure doesn't get offered anymore. I don't think you can buy it anymore. We still have it because this was provisioned years ago. And then an Azure subscription SKU. So say you're greeted with that lovely Friday afternoon meeting with HR and said, I need 20 more licenses for everybody to be ready on Monday. Well, maybe you would have had to deal with some sales reps and take some time in the past, but once you're in here, all you need to do is come into your license and just add headcount. Just takes a moment for this to load as it pulls information directly from the Microsoft 365 admin portal and also from the My Cloud portal to synchronize the two. You can see here it shows the SKU number, when it was activated, when the term ends, when it's renewal, how many seats have been assigned. If it's set to auto renew, you can even edit the name on this if you want to make it a little more friendly. And then over here under purchase seats, oh, well, I've got 20 more users to add. Well, I can click, or I can just say I need a total of 22 seats now for this license. You click next, you say accept, you say validate, and it's going to come into here and try and set up the, or not try, it's going to set up the licensing with your purchase. And it is going to provision this within just a few minutes in the Microsoft 365 admin portal. And if you're not familiar with how that looks or how you'd access it, it's part of the onboarding when we bring you into our CSP. Either myself or somebody on my team, or even Jackson or your account executives, they'll either, if they're familiar with the process, they'll show you exactly how to change your billing profile, define your new licenses, or they'll pull somebody like myself or somebody from my team in to go through what that looks like. So that will just show up within probably, I've seen it within a couple of minutes up to maybe a maximum of 10 minutes. You know, if it hasn't shown up in 15 minutes, something's wrong with the pipeline. You reach out to your account executive and we'll have operations team figure out where something got stuck in the process, because it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes or so unless there's a Microsoft outage causing it to take longer. But this is where you can see you can add SKUs, you can add headcount to your existing subscriptions, or you can come to your catalog here and look through and add any licensing that you want. Entra ID P1, Exchange Online Plan 2, 365 Copilot. Anything that says Microsoft 365 Copilot in general, if you see it out in the wild, is Copilot for modern work is sometimes what it's called. But basically, it is what allows Copilot implementation or integration with your desktop apps like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, I don't know if it's in Visio, but there's in a couple other ones that you'll be able to use Copilot inside of the apps. Oh, it says it right here. Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, Teams, and more. Business chat. So that's what gives you access to, cloud.microsoft or copilot.cloud.microsoft.com for access to the large language model chat agent. But you can just click add to cart wherever you need. From the catalog, it'll go to your cart. It'll update your cart. I had put in a couple of Windows Server 2025 standard 16 core packs earlier. You can change your co-terming. You can change your billing cycle and as you need and check out. And then you'll have those licenses available for you in the admin portal within minutes. It'll even tell you, oh, you don't have any compatible subscriptions because this is an add-on in your cart. It'll say, oh, you don't have anything this is going to be available to be tagged onto. You might want to do something else. So what you do is come back into here and you'll see prerequisites. You have to have one of these plans that can hook into as an add-on. One of the other things I want to mention is for a number of our licenses, especially if it's perpetual licensing, say Windows Server 2025 standard, you can actually get a perpetual. This one might not have I'm waiting for this to load. Let's change this. See if it'll let me change it. Corporate. Okay, so I have to find the other SKU. There's SKUs in here that will allow you to billing cycle of one time or a monthly subscription. So Windows Server and SQL Server and a bunch of other things are now actually purchasable via monthly payments rather than a one-time purchase. I will say to anybody that's asking or wants to hear my opinion, but if you are going to be using something for more than 3 years, it ends up being cheaper just to buy it perpetual. But if you are looking to change your costs from capital expenditure to operational expenses, this is a great way of doing it. You just move it to your monthly subscriptions rather than having to put it all into a project's final bill right off the bat. Do we use state contract pricing? Jackson, can you answer that question? I don't deal with the pricing.
Yeah, I was just typing back there. Tammy, that's a great question. I would recommend reaching out to your local account executive. It gets very nuanced when it comes to state contract pricing. So your dedicated account executive will have the most up-to-date information there. I'd recommend reaching out to them and having that conversation directly with the account executive.
Yep. One of the other things that I wanted to showcase in here was you can look at your transactions and see what your billing history has been. You can come in and see what orders have been placed. You can do an export to CSV of the costs. So if we come and look at here, the most recent order that had been fulfilled was a 365 Business Basic and was provisioned back in April, and that was a month-to-month term, and that was canceled after 1 month. But month-to-month terming is also a possibility with Microsoft 365 that we can offer. It used to be available all over, not as much anymore because Microsoft made it more expensive, but we can offer that flexibility. We've had plenty of customers that need that flexibility and headcount for seasonal workers. Retail season. Oh, it's Black Friday. I think we all know that anybody who's working retail now has really already been gearing up for the influx of seasonal staff that they need to handle holiday shopping. This is a good reason for why you might have a pool of user licenses set for month to month, so you can flex up and down every month.
Sorry, Kevin. Another great use case for that is if you have a lot of contract workers or maybe even interns throughout the summer, right? You don't have to buy a full 12-month term. You can go month to month. It is a little bit higher in price, but you're not buying a whole license for the full 12 months. So we can be very flexible in that sense of term, billing cycle, and product offering through this portal.
Yep. These next slides were my just in case the demo went south. So I'm just going to click through them real quick. Basically everything we went over. You can edit your subscriptions. There is in there I didn't show you is Azure subscription. If you do have an Azure subscription under a CSP, you can have a very easily at a glance viewing of where your spend is going, where your consumption is for your costs within Azure Cloud. I've known plenty of our customers prefer looking at that for an at a glance versus diving into the Azure Cloud Billing Portal. This is something that we offer. It's not something that Microsoft offers.
Yeah, to expand on that, Justin, it's because we're a CSP, other CSPs are capable of doing this, but we've set this up, we put the work in to make sure this is live and active, right? I think the next slide there, Kevin was talking about Town of Clayton.
Yep.
This is actually one of our customer testimonials, right? So I've had conversations with some folks about this very topic here in the Midwest. I cover the Midwest. But the big thing with the MyCloud portal is it's active, it's working, it's live, right? There are some CSPs out there that are saying, hey, this is on our roadmap to get a self-service portal. We have a live environment here. As shown by Town of Clayton, North Carolina, John Mack out there is a great customer, a great partner of ours. I won't read this whole thing, but I'll highlight some of the things that we found very interesting, right? Just like Kevin said through his slides, sometimes, that first paragraph on the tail end, sometimes it would take a day just to get a response and up to a week before the licensing showed up in the portal. Skipping down to that last piece, now he can just log in, choose the licenses that he needs, provision them, and within minutes, he's good to go. So that last piece is really impactful for me. Their solution hasn't just saved us time and made us more efficient, it's also eliminated a major headache around Microsoft licensing. So everything we've shown you today between the MyCloud portal, the support, as well as the licensing audit and all the rest of the Microsoft capabilities is aiming to do what John just said in his testimony, aiming to eliminate headaches, make it easier, more efficient for your business. And Justin, does it offer any Microsoft Service Monitor, or do you guys know of a good site that monitors Microsoft services? Kevin, I'll turn that to you.
Yeah, Justin, do you mean if that's for Microsoft uptime with their services, say with how we had the recent outages in the last few weeks for Microsoft, AWS, and now today, Cloudflare? Or do you mean something, okay. So you can go to, there's a service health portal that Microsoft offers that's not embedded into the MyCloud portal. But there is a service health portal that I can go and find the link for and give it to you. There it is. There is also something that didn't paste that. You can also look at this from the admin portal for Microsoft admin portal, like admin.microsoft.com. There's also a service health section there. And then if you want to actually have real health monitoring of what you actually run in your infrastructure, you can see stuff. Oh yeah, no. So our MyCloud portal doesn't have, unfortunately, that what would be very useful, but is not the point of what it's offering at this time. I hear you. It would be better to have something a little more reliable. I mean, because Microsoft will basically say everything's fine until all of a sudden the site itself goes down for service health. But unfortunately, that's just kind of where we're at the moment. I've always used personally downdetector.com to also see if some services are down, because you'll see a crowdsourced understanding if things are going down. Yep.
Perfect. In the last piece, I want to get through a couple housekeeping items with 5 minutes left, but start putting your questions in the chat. Raise your hand if you have one here. Kevin, can you go to the next slide? We'll get through this and then revert back to questions. So thank you so much for coming to the webinar today. Let's connect, right? The whole mentality of this webinar is making your life easier, and we want to have a seat at the table to show you how we can do that, even past what we discussed in the webinar today. Of tier 1 support, the Microsoft consulting, licensing audit, CSP, cloud solution provider, MyCloud portal, self-service. We want to be your partner, right? Your trusted advisor in the Microsoft space, and our team is well equipped to do that. They've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. At some of our engineers, 10 years. So as a thank you for your time to connect with us, right? The account executives will send an email tomorrow as a follow-up to this webinar. But as a thank you for your time of taking that meeting and talking about the Microsoft projects that you have on your plate, we'll give you a $50 gift card to Goldbelly. If you've never been on the site, I highly encourage it. I use it for holiday gifts for friends and family, but absolutely respond to your account executive tomorrow when that email comes out, or reach out to them proactively. We would love to sit down and discuss with you. And again, there's a bit of a reward there if you take a meeting with us to discuss. Next slide, Kevin. And just for being with us today, as a thank you, we'll be sending out a Spoonful of Comfort package or Grubhub credit. I believe you selected that when you signed up for the webinar, within the next 3 business days. Important to note, those emails will come directly from that vendor, right? Spoonful of Comfort or Grubhub. So watch out for that. It won't come from a Davenport address, but it will be from those two, one or the other, right into your inbox. So if you don't receive it by the end of this week, check your spam folder first. If you still haven't seen it come across, reach out to your account executive. They can work with our marketing team to make sure we get you the incentive for joining us and spending an hour of your time here today. With that, I'll turn it over to questions if there's any in the chat here. Kevin, have you seen any pop in?
I answered Tony's already. I haven't seen anything else, I think. I don't think I've missed anybody. Does anybody have any questions that they want to put in the chat or just pipe up? And again, feel free to, if you're not feeling like you want to put it up, just go ahead and reach out to your account executive or shoot me an email and I'll do my best to answer you. And if you want an actual phone call, be happy to jump on and get that scheduled.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Thank you, everyone. You'll be hearing from the account executives very soon, and certainly engage with them if you need anything under the sun related to Microsoft. We have a fully staffed team to get you where you need to be and make your life easier. Thanks
everybody for joining. You guys have a great day.